Yat Brian Francis Dashjane Ado Maidish Gijninchlen Zanajani Bashichin Akot Odinenchlen. Hello, my name is Brian Francis, or in our culture, I say people call me Brian Francis as opposed to my name is. And I'm of the Coyote Pass clan, which is my mother's clan, and I'm born for the Blackwood Street people, or the Bear clan, what's my father's clan. So I just want to introduce myself properly to you. And a little bit about the Arrowhead, or projectile points. Um, I used to work for the National Park Service about 10 years ago, and working for the National Park Service as an interpreter, we gave tours for tourists that were visiting the Navajo Reservation, and tours, and also evening programs and different talks throughout the day and throughout the week for tourists. And so I started to learn a little bit more about arrowheads at that point. One of the other park rangers, she was actually flint knapping. So she was flint knapping and learning how to make arrowheads. And so she was doing that as one of her presentations. So I became really interested in kind of more or less what she was doing. And I wanted to make that a part of my presentations. I wanted to learn a little bit more about it. I came to my dad and I asked him about the arrowhead. I'd really like to learn how to do this. And so he said, "Well, it's okay if you want to learn, but there's some things you should understand first." And so then he started to talk about the arrowhead. In our culture, there's two sides to pretty much everything we have. In the language, we say "huijonje, huichonje." There's two sides to things, and it's almost like there's a really good side and there's a so-so kind of bad side. I hate to call it bad because there's a purpose for everything, and so. Arrowheads, when you think about it, you put it together to take a life. There's a side where you actually use it to take the life of another human being, and then also of an animal. So you have to understand what you're actually creating, and in order to do that, you have to understand the stories and the prayers and the songs that go along with that to actually put something together like that. And then on the other side, you're also making something to provide for your family and to protect your family. So there's both that. You got to have a balance of both of those, the yin and the yang, if you will. And he said, he told me that we were never given that traditional knowledge, so he didn't have that knowledge to pass on to me to where I could actually use that to make arrowheads. And so he said, it's probably better if you don't get into it because it might affect you later on. And so that's pretty much what my dad talked about when I asked about the arrowhead. So I just kind of more or less let that go, and decided to do something else for my presentations. So that's the story of the arrowhead and how I couldn't do it. Thank you.